All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the 10X Tuesday interview. For over 15 years, I have been interviewing top producers every Tuesday, 9 o'clock Pacific. Today's special guest is someone that I have interviewed over 20 times. If it was up to me, it would be over 100, but she does say no more times than she says yes, and I have a tremendous amount of respect for this top producer. Welcome to the call, Denise.
Thank you. I am so glad to be back. It has been way too long, and reconnecting with you just a few weeks ago before your birthday was fun. But y'all, I just want you guys to know, I hope you're ready for this. I am amped up. I've got the number one ingredient. We're not going to get into it just yet, but like if you're fired up, if you're live, if you're watching, give us a thumbs up, a heart. I'm going to bring you guys the heat because it's been too long. So I'm going to bring it.
Yeah, she's gonna bring it. And here's the deal, guys. We now have a Denise Donoghue playlist. So, and that playlist, if you go to our YouTube channel, Mortgage Coach YouTube channel, it's the number one playlist for this week. So if you have not watched some of the greatest hits, it's sorted in order of the most viewed. So the very top one is the most viewed video that I've ever posted on the YouTube channel. By the way, Denise, any guesses as to what's your number one most watched interview or video?
I would imagine it was the video I did for Scriptapalooza about wowing realtors.
Boom, she knows how Denise Donoghue blows the minds of groups of realtors.
Yeah.
2 years ago, 4 years ago, using a rent versus own to generate leads on social media. Your third most viewed is Becoming a Financial Wizard with Jeremy Forcier, one of the all-time greats. Guys, the list goes on, but if you want to get more Denise, it's in the YouTube channel. Check it out. So guys, here's how I want to introduce Denise today. I mean, she has been a prolific top producer in the industry, but she's really distinguished as a top producer. There's been a number of years where I've had some of America's most successful loan officers on stages, and literally, especially in the last 2 years, she's done more production. Like her volume is like the elite of the elite. Now, this is the first time where I've interviewed her, where not only is she still a top producer and still among the most successful in the country, but her role has expanded in leadership. She's now building a bigger leadership platform at Benchmark. She's mentoring more mortgage professionals than ever. So I think it's going to be kind of fun to not only hear like, how are you winning, but hear your perspective, because you're talking to loan officers who are not winning, and I know you, when you had your head down to be the top producer, you probably weren't talking to any loan officers that weren't winning. You were very thoughtful about, I'm talking to loan officers who can give me value to do more, and loan officers that weren't, you probably didn't have time to talk to them. Is that fair to say?
Yeah, and you know what's crazy is I literally in my mind, this was probably 5 years ago, I actually said the words out loud that I would never want to hire loan officers. I wanted to learn from them. Like I've always learned from Jeremy's and Dan's, but I never wanted to hire them or mentor them. And so literally I have said that out loud. I've said that to my team. And so now I think because after COVID hit, my heart just felt compelled to it because I feel like loan officers today are struggling. They're frustrated. They're doing things that they've done for years, but they're not getting the results. And so oftentimes we look for help and we look for coaching and mentorship. And sometimes we go places, not talking smack, but we go places that give us information, but they're not in the trenches doing the tactical work of being an actual loan originator in today's market, that it's still falling flat. And last week I was at a John Cheplack event, and there was a really brilliant guy that spoke on stage, and he was like, if you're doing business, even if you're doing a lot of business, but you're not fulfilled, you will eventually burn out. But if you're doing something that actually fulfills you, whether you're getting compensated or not, you won't burn out. And I think that's why in my heart after COVID and kind of where, I launched Nerd Academy years ago, I don't have it anymore, but I just felt compelled to be like, look, this is what I'm doing right now in 2024 that is working. You just got to do it and it'll work for you. It's not going to happen overnight, but I know because I am personally doing it. And there's not anything I say or do that's magical, just like Sean, like there's nothing that he does or Sean but we're gonna give you that stuff, which is why I love this community. And so anyways, that's a long story of saying I went from a mindset of I would never to it is literally the thing that brings me the most fulfillment and joy is tweaking people's swing and seeing them shine and excel. It's so cool. So
So tell me real quick, just so I know, and I think people who have watched your journey, usually it's like, hey, what's your production? How many loans did you close this month? And what's your goal for the year? I mean, I do want to know that, but I also want to know, what are you doing as a leader? So share both
yeah.
sides of.
So I think year to date, I'm at 119 families. Last month I closed 26 families. We're entering that busy time of year. So I think this month we're on track to do around 26 or 28. That's just my personal production. Our division is closing, I can't remember the units, but 65 million last month is what we closed. So my goal, honestly, Dave, I have to tell you this, and I hope everybody that's listening, like, let's give Dave a thumbs up, a heart. But he created this community years ago before it was sexy to do things like this. And he stayed consistent at it for literally decades. And I want you to know that I listen to this channel every single week when I walk. And what I'm putting into play this year stemmed from me watching your channel of Daniel Saul last fall and his partner Alex. And then when you did the Modern Mortgage Summit and we had the mastermind afterwards, I spent a lot of time with Daniel Saul and Shayla Gifford, and kind of our masterminds got together and I built a recipe that works for our division. And so, like, literally, this community that you created, that you've hustled your butt off for, that we all get to learn from for free, is working. And so, my goal is to share things with you guys today that you can take, implement, just like I have done for years because of you, Dave.
Well, well, I am a community builder and I have, stayed consistent in doing that. It's the people like you that say yes and share what you do. And so first of all, anyone who's watching this, if you have been someone that has been on the show, thank you, because there would be no show without top performing mortgage professionals. And then for everyone that's tuned in and you watch this and you make this part of your weekly rhythms, there'd be no show without you guys because without an audience, there's no one to get on stage for. So thank you, everyone. And thank you for always doing that. And by the way, I know she's telling the truth because before this interview, wanted her to listen to my Friday interview with Jeremy because first of all, I thought it was, well, by the way, what'd you think? I thought that was like money. It was like
Amazing.
a
Yeah.
master class on how to win
Yeah.
with realtors right now.
I mean, I'll listen to Jeremy all day, every day. The way that he can communicate and he can extract the problem and then deliver a solution. And the way he communicates is so well, and he's super funny. So, when you see Jeremy on the show, you got to tune in.
Yeah, and I will put a link down below to that. If it is a must watch for everyone in the Mortgage Coach community. He shares the buy before you sell
Yeah.
strategy, and what an incredible script to get meetings with realtors. You know, highly recommend you check that out. So now I know you have all the key ingredients to be incredibly successful, and I asked you what you wanted the headline to be. And you said the number one ingredient that most loan officers are skipping. So, and by the way, I don't
Yes.
know what the answer to this is. Why'd you pick that headline? And when are you going to tell us what the number one ingredient is?
Because, and to be fair, I'm going to share with you a couple of things, but I'm not going to give you the number one ingredient until the end. So anybody that's just tuning in for the first half, I'm sorry, you got to stay to the very end. I'm going to lead you to it, but we'll uncover that at the end. But here's the thing. When I was at the Modern Mortgage Summit, I started off my presentation with that scene from Tin Cup. And if you guys didn't watch it, basically Tin Cup is a really old movie about a professional golfer that won multiple Masters. He spent all of his money. How many people do we know that made money and then spent it all? That's what we're here for. But he wanted to go back to the golf game to win some money because he had gone broke. And he went up to the tee and he was hitting the ball and he kept shanking the ball and he didn't know why. and everyone's looking at him and they're kind of laughing, and he's going to his caddy and he's like, dude, what's going on? Like, I did this and I did this and I did this and I did this. Why am I shanking the ball? And in that case, it was his mindset, but that's a lot of what's happening with loan originators. And we hear often, go back to the basics and add value. But there's one thing of all of this that if you don't do, you're gonna miss it. You might be showing up and doing Zoom calls with realtors, and you might have a really killer buyer consult, or you might have a really killer meeting with the real estate agent. But if you don't do this very end thing, which I'm going to get to, then you're going to be on that hamster wheel. And so sometimes I think the most basic things are things that we miss. But again, my goal today is to share with you the first thing I want to kick this call off, if it's okay with you, Dave, is this isn't the number one ingredient, but here's what I think is missing in us today. One of you guys already mentioned it, Kathy. We have to quantify for our real estate partners and our clients any and every financial decision that's out there, especially with this NAR stuff that's going on with buyers' commissions. But even if you take that out, Jeremy referenced this on Friday, even if you take the NAR settlement out, our job as a mortgage advisor is to be able to quantify someone's decision and then deliver it in a way with visuals and charts and stats, and clearly communicate what either the cost or opportunity cost is of that decision. Because guess what? Realtors, do they know math? Sometimes, y'all know, come on. Sometimes they're messaging us like, hey, our client's putting 5% down. What do I put on the financing addendum for the, and you're like, dude, it's sales price times, you know what I mean? Real estate agents don't know math. Our consumers don't know math. Americans are in more debt than ever. We are literally in a crisis. And so this is the time for us to show up, but we have to quantify those decisions. And then you have to share it with everybody. And we're going to talk about how we share it. So Kathy mentioned in the chat, and y'all know how I roll. I want you guys to be interactive. I want you guys to put comments in here so I can address them. Kathy had mentioned my Instagram video that I posted yesterday. If you guys don't follow me on Instagram, go follow me at The Mortgage Nerd. Feel free to rip off and duplicate anything you want. But yesterday I did I call it a show and tell of quantifying a decision for a client who was considering owning versus renting. And I've talked a lot about owning versus renting before on this channel. Dave's interviewed a lot of people of owning versus renting. Here's what we're missing. When do we do this? And how do we deliver it to the client? And is it multiple times? So in that one example that I talked about yesterday about a consumer renting versus owning, I had that conversation with the client. In that particular example, the client had gone under contract. But I am doing a similar presentation when they make an offer. And so here's what some of us do. Some of us just have a one-to-one conversation with the client, and that's it. And I'm going to show it to you in a second. I'm going to share my screen. And that's it. But we don't share it with the world. And even worse, we don't share it with the real estate agent. What I'm doing, and I'm committed to every single week, and this is my challenge to you guys, please write this down. My challenge to you is every single week, I want you to show and share a wealth strategy on your social media. This is what I mean by quantify and show. So if you had a closing last week or 2 weeks ago, or if you had an offer that was made and it didn't get accepted, it doesn't matter what the outcome is. If you have a 1-year anniversary reminder that happens in your anniversary, or a 5-year or a 4-year, I want you to look at your week, time block of time, and it's a 60-minute time block, which is 4% of your day. With our division, we do it on Fridays. And we say, what in this last week did we have a wealth story on? A wealth story could be a rent versus own. A wealth story could be that your client bought a 1.5 years ago and their value has appreciated so much that you remove someone's PMI. The thing is that 2024 is all about prove it to me. Because talk is cheap. We all know We've seen plenty of people on social media of saying they're this, that, and the other, and they got their mortgage license 4 months ago, but guess what? The way they're showing up makes them look like the professional, and you might be in business for 14 years, but this person's showing you up because they're proving it to you. And so when I do those types of show and tells or prove it's of a wealth strategy, here's how I'm disseminating the information. Number one, every single week I send out a weekly value bomb email. I don't have time to go into what a weekly value bomb email is, but every week it's something that's super valuable that you cannot Google, you cannot chat GPT it. A mortgage advising brain has to come up with it, and it gets delivered to my real estate agents and my partners every single week. It's not a rate update. This is to sidebar a little bit. Every Friday in our performance skills training with our loan officers, they would hear me say, send a value bomb email. They heard it and they would do it, but then there's nobody inspecting their swing. Nobody was inspecting the email. No one was looking at the subject line and looking at what was in it. And guess what? As we started inspecting it, I realized that they were doing what everybody else does. And so if you're a real estate agent and you get 4 different emails from loan officers of rate updates, that is not a value bomb email, because you can Google current mortgage rates, right? So it has, when I say value bomb, I have a whole definition behind it, but this is part of working with a community or with people that will inspect what you're doing so that you don't feel like you're doing all the things. I'm doing the weekly value bomb emails, I'm doing this, I'm doing this. If you're not getting conversion, something is wrong with your swing. So again, my challenge to you is every week you need to evaluate your week. What is the wealth strategy? Share it on social, share it as maybe potentially your value bomb email, share it in a webinar or a broker meeting that you're doing. Yesterday was one example of it on my Instagram. And just to set this straight, I know video marketing has been a thing, and it's been a thing for a while. And some of us get overwhelmed with the lights and the camera and these videos are not lights, camera, action. They're not professionally done for a reason. It's my iPhone. I'm pointing it at my face, and then I'm turning it around and I'm pointing to my TCA with MortgageCoach on my screen, because that is authentic and it's me proving it in the moment. So that works. That could show up even if you're doing, some of you guys are like, well, I didn't have a closing last week. Okay, well, a lot of you say you help people build wealth with real estate. Show me. Because if you are, then you should be doing anniversary check-ins with your clients after closing. And if you are, you should have a wealth success story from a closing even last year. Because some of these first-time home buyers, and this is what I love what you're doing with First Home IQ, Dave, is that these first-time home buyers, and I don't know, y'all give me a give me a heart or a thumbs or a clap. Are 50% of your applications coming in first-time home buyers? Because like right now, what we're seeing is first-time home buyers. And our number 2, yeah, lots of thumbs, right? It's like first-time home buyers and people moving to another state to be closer to family or for job relo. Like those are the top 2. Yeah, almost 100%. Anybody else want to chime in? So yeah, 80%, because think about it. People who are currently in a home, I forget the statistic now, but 66% of them have really great rates. And so the bulk of our applications that we're getting in are these first-time home buyers. And so what are you putting out there to present the wealth story today? Because what I see online and through webinars are people talking about, well, when I bought a home in 2006, my first house was $149,000. And I turned that into a rental for a generation between, let's just call it the age of 20 to 26. They don't give 2 you-know-whats about what you paid for a home in 1980 or 1990 or even 2008. It's too long ago. It doesn't appear relevant to them. You want to share current wealth stories that could possibly be in the last 2 years when interest rates weren't fantastic. It's giving them belief that home ownership isn't a scam, because that generation, they saw their parents go through the housing crash. That generation is the most informed and most resourceful generation. So for all of you guys that said almost 100%, 80%, if that's the case, then you better be obsessed with the psychology and the behavior habits of that generation. Meaning, if you're sharing a wealth story, Sean does this all the time. I'm sharing a wealth story about, I just did this last week. Y'all go look at my social media, because talk's cheap, right? So go look at my social media. You see me doing this every week. 2 weeks ago, I shared a story about I think he was 24. He bought a home 2 years ago. Rates were in the sixes. He made, I think, $48,000. I was doing a home annual review, and I looked at what he paid for the house 2 years ago. All I did was go to on Google and look up what the current value is, which we all know isn't super accurate, but that's what I did. He made $48,000 in 2 years in a market when interest rates were the highest. If you break that down per year, that's a $24,000 per year. And I asked the question, if you asked your boss for a $24,000 pay raise, what would their answer be? And if you asked for it 2 years in a row, what would their answer be? See, I'm associating wealth to a pay raise, and then you get even better. And if you're asking, I don't do this on like a quiz, kind of like first home IQ. I don't think it's appropriate to do this on a quiz. A human needs to ask this, but if you were to ask that generation, if someone gave you $50,000 today, what would you spend the money on? I'm not talking about winning the lottery and buying yachts. I'm talking something like 50,000. That's going to give you insight into that person's financial motivation. Maybe they would pay off student loan debt and they're super responsible. Maybe they would buy a car. Maybe they would travel. And so whatever the answer is to that question, I'm going to align, I'm going to put it in my CRM, and then I'm going to drip to say, hey, if you made an extra $24,000 and you could travel more, what would that do to your mental state, your happiness, whatever? I'm not talking about retirement. That's too far. And I'm not talking about wealth from the 1980s or what rates were in the 1980s. They don't care. I'm talking about right now, what meaningful money can you actually make and what strategies can you actually make? Because what you told me is that you would take that 50,000 and you would start an Etsy business. And so what would you need for that Etsy business? Well, I would need a Cricut thing and I would need this. Okay, how much does a Cricut thing cost? Now I'm getting to the motivation of the finance. Once we get to that, and they actually end up buying, let's say, now we can start layering on really cool financial stuff. But what we tend to do as mortgage advisors is we tend to go after the building wealth thing and the retirement thing. And it's too far away for that generation. And it's not really super believable because they're skeptical. They grew up on the internet. Like, we look at people's bodies and faces, and so you've got to prove it, and you've got to be relatable, and you've got to change. I'm kind of going off topic, but I'm going to give you one more change to the first time home buyer because I'm super passionate about starting a conversation with this group. I think a condition from the 2020 and 2021 time period is everything was how fast and technology got so cool. You know, we have all these point of sale technologies, and what I hear from loan officers still today is almost our knee-jerk reaction when we hear that a client's interested in buying is go online and fill out the application and then we'll have a meaningful conversation. I hear it all the time on social media. Go online and get pre-qualified, pre-approved. We have to stop with that language. That language has been around for like way too long. That's not relevant to that generation's mind. What I want to do for you, Mr. Customer, I want to have a discovery call. Everywhere that we start is with a discovery call. It's with a conversation. The end goal isn't to get you pre-qualified. The discovery conversation is to find out what your financial dreams and goals are, and if it makes sense. Whether you're 12 months away or 14 months away, or you're just wanting to have the conversation because you think you want to buy, but you don't know if you should. So stop even saying, I coach my real estate agents on it. Stop saying, here's my Calendly, look, book a call. So we can help you get pre-qualified or pre-approved, or no, it's, I wanna have a conversation. I wanna have a discovery call with you. I wanna get to know you more. Sometimes you'll learn that they just wanna buy a house. They need 1,100 square feet. They don't give two craps about the financial part of it. They want enough yard for their dogs to run. That's it. That's why they want it. And so if you're over here talking about the financial gain, but that's not where their mindset is right now, it's okay. You gotta, Phil Jones says this all the time. You have to meet the customer where they are. But what questions do we ask to find out where they are and where they're motivated? And then we customize, would it be helpful? So here's where we go back to all this where it says quantifying a decision, right? Would it be helpful? You're having a discovery call. Would it be helpful if I ran a analysis for you? Let's say maybe over the next 2 years, 3 years, 5 years, whatever you want. The average person rents for 11 years. Y'all, 11 years. I'm not gonna go for 11. That seems like eternity to that generation, but would it be helpful, Mr. Customer, if I ran an analysis for you that just said, if we rent and continue to rent, which might be the right solution for you, this is what that decision would cost you. And an alternative solution might be to own a home, and I could run the cost for that to you, and then we could compare in 5 years, would that be helpful? Yeah, that would be great. That's where the conversation starts. Then, if they like what they see, all right, well, you think you would be interested in buying in the next 6 to 12 months? If so, I'm gonna need some more information from you. Might feel like a mortgage interrogation. I'm gonna kind of laugh a little bit, but we're gonna have to get some information. Let's construct a plan for you. I don't say words like pre-qualified, pre-approved, loan application. We've got to start looking at this industry differently. It's different. Our buyers are different. The rates are different. Our tech is different. Why are you swinging the golf club the same?
So good. So guys, keep the questions coming in chat. I hope everybody wrote down value bomb weekly. I hope you wrote down weekly wealth story. And while I'm sure Denise is going to unpack what a value bomb is to her, literally would push you right now to put this on pause, like if you're watching this on our YouTube channel, and write down what a value bomb is to you. And then, because authorship is ownership, the more that you create what a value bomb is for you, the more you're going to own it, the better job you're going to do it, and then have Denise augment that. Like for me, I already wrote down what a value bomb would be to me. It would, one, it would either need to help realtors save time or make more money. Uh, it it would be ideas to help them win during the NAR settlement. It would be ideas and strategies to help them improve conversion in presentations. Now I don't know what her value bomb is yet, but I'm pretty sure that some of my ideas are probably her ideas, but authorship is ownership, guys. And one of the things that Denise is saying is that you got to create your own magic. You know, it's unscripted. Deborah Bird, uh, top social media leader, and helped you come up with, well, I don't know if she helped you come up with Mortgage Nerd, but I know she's been helping you manage your brand. So she's putting, anybody who's watching this in chat, Deborah is putting what it is. But write that down. And then I also want you guys to write down tailor, teach, lead. Like the framework that she's doing, she's not just coming in and selling home ownership and financial freedom and wealth creation. You notice how she asks questions. And then when she, would that be interesting to you? And then she's sharing it. So she's tailoring, she's teaching, and then she's leading. She's not leading and teaching, she's tailor, teach, and leading. So I see too
Yeah,
many loan officers, like they're going to write this down and then they're just going to start selling wealth building to everyone. And you did a really nice job of, hey, if you do that for the person that's just looking for a new home so they can have a dog or have chickens, and you're just focused on wealth building, they're gonna tune out. So anyways, I love where this is going.
yeah. Thank you. And I've got some TCA because I wrote down, I want to share with you guys my number one TCA for clients and my number one TCA for real estate agents. And we're at halftime right now. That
Let's
just means
go.
I'm gonna have to come on more with Dave. But the thing is I think when we talk about wealth, and it kind of my observation of 2024 is we can show up tone deaf. My definition of tone deaf and what I try to teach my group all the time is social media, automation, tech. We've kind of been conditioned to be tone deaf where we're not truly listening to the person and hearing what their wants are. We're putting our own, and we're over here talking about wealth when Americans are in quicksand, like debt quicksand right now. They're literally in quicksand and they have a straw in their mouth. Of course, they're not posting about it, but they've got a straw in their mouth trying to survive. And they see your post about building wealth with real estate. It's tone deaf. There are some things that we do, and it's not intentional oftentimes, truthfully, but it is absolutely how you can make someone feel is that you don't get my situation. That's kind of why I started to go by the mortgage nerd, my CEO way back when. We still chat this all the time where he's like, don't go by the nerd. You're putting yourself beneath the client. You need to put yourself above the client so they respect you. And I'm like, dude, first of all, I am a nerd. Second of all, I want to be their friend. I want to be their BFF, their best financial friend, like always. Like I'm rooting for them. So, anyways, we're at halftime. I can get to talking. I do want to share this with you guys. But to Dave's point, if you're listening to this, if you have questions about the value bomb emails, just reach out to me. But here's the thing: don't overcomplicate it. There's 52 weeks in a year. The last Friday of every month, you could identify 4 topics, write them out. And yes, to Dave's point, it's going to be things that either save the agent time or money. Do not just send out a rate update. It could be videos, it could be graphics. It doesn't, do not do a video in every single email. I'll give you some do's and don'ts. I'll put those together for y'all. Can you guys see my screen?
Yep, we see it. And by the way, is this slides from a presentation that you'd be giving to realtors, or give us context on what we're looking at?
Yeah, so this, full disclosure, I'm all about efficiency. Okay, so this is one big PowerPoint that I just use. Dave, you do this too at times. It's like my master copy, and I use it for different things. Maybe it's during a pre-qual, maybe it's when a client goes under contract, but I reuse so many of the slides that I just kind of have one long PowerPoint so I can jump around to the different slides. But it is a PowerPoint. This presentation is specifically to a client when they're going to make an offer on a home. And this could be, so we've trained our real estate agents, when you're getting ready to make an offer, let us know, send us the address. Let me just give you a few quick tidpoints, and then I'm going to go into detail about some of the minor details that you guys might not pay attention to. So one, I call it our offer smart. I've got the address of the exact property that they're looking at. This is the exact kitchen in the home because they said that they were looking for a home with a yard, more square footage, and a better kitchen because they currently are renting. So their current rent is 1,400 square feet. They're paying $2,650 a month. This particular home, if they buy it, is 2,392 square feet. The reason why I'm pointing out the square footage is because they're buying almost 1,000 more square foot. So when I show them a mortgage payment that's about $1,000 more a month, well, it's because you're buying almost $1,000 more in square footage, right? So there's little subliminal things that I do from the very start. I call them tie downs, so that if we get to the conversation of, wow, that's a lot more than my rent, I'm saying, yeah, well, and I go back to saying, well, remember why you blah, 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 blah. So I'm just pointing out the square footage. I do that often. And then I'm going to walk them through what a rent versus own strategy looks like. And I'm using 2 different price points. So you've got the rent, you guys have seen this before. You've got rents, $2,650. We've got 2 different home prices. We've got $445 and $432. In this particular example, it was because they were wanting to buy, I think it was a 2-1 buy down. But this same example could be, they fall in love with the home. We call the listing agent. We find out that this seller is not willing to pay for the buyer's commission, right? So this same TCA could be used for either scenario. I'm walking them through their options, 5% down. This is just for the offer, not the pre-qual. Here's what your payment would look like. It's $37.35 versus $36.26. So what I'm merely pointing out at this stage is if we go a little bit higher in purchase price, what does that do to the monthly payment? And then I'm going to show them what that does to a 5-year analysis, because in this example, I think it was the buyer. I think I was showcasing a buyer's agent commission if they didn't pay the 3%. So I show them this, I go in, I do my short-term section at 5 years. I never go longer than 5 years with first-time home buyers. I can tell you why later. But okay, Mr. Customer, so again, for 1,400 square feet, total rent at the end of 5 years is 165,000. Total principal that you would pay is 25 versus 24. Again, I'm showing just these two scenarios because I want them to see there's not a meaningful difference in 5 years with either sales price. So if they fall in love with this home, but they're now having to pay the buyer's agent commission, or potentially we can get it rolled in and they're getting a little worried about rolling it in, and there's not a meaningful difference here, right? Right, okay. So then I'm gonna show them what does your net worth look like in 5 years? Rent, we all know, is 0. And then here's the net worth in 5 years based on these two sales prices. And again, all I'm doing is quantifying a decision. I said at the very start of this call, our job, because our real estate agents can't do it, and if you want to be valuable to your partner, you have to be able to quantify not a couple of decisions. I want you to be obsessed with every decision. In this particular point in the process, all I'm doing is quantifying the 445 or 432. Here's what some loan officers do. We get excited and we start showing all the bags of tricks. But if you do this and you do this and you do this and you do this and you do this, and then you could do this and then you could reinvest in, this is not the place to do that. So when we're doing, like for our group every Friday, when we're doing performance skills training, we uncover, oh crap, I got excited and I started giving too much information. And unfortunately, that too much information paralyzed the client in indecision. And they just said, you know what, we're gonna pass. You got to stay laser focused and only quantifying the decisions that they need right then and there to ultimately make a decision of yes or no. Them staying in maybe will kill your business. It's time, it's money, and your real estate agents don't want a bunch of maybes. So we're going to quantify that. And then if the time's appropriate, you notice I have another slide over here. I only go to this slide if it's relevant in the conversation. But I can't remember why I had this there. I think for their example, they were wanting to know, okay, if I instead of putting 10% down, if we put 5% down and we were to invest it in the compound, blah, 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 okay, in 5 years, $1,000 invested annually, we could help you grow your money to 198. I don't do this during the offer very often. But sometimes if they're contemplating on, a larger down payment or whatever, I might go and throw that slide in there. But again, all these slides are here because I'm popping in and out of them when they need more information to make a decision. And so my question is how do you know if your client needs more information to ultimately make a decision? Drop it in the chat.
So go back to the net worth slide real quick. I really want to make a point here, guys. And I have interviewed countless real estate agents, countless executives who lead large real estate platforms. And every one of them that I talk about, do you want to work with a loan officer that can do a pre-qual and show what they qualify for? Or someone that can do that and can also show the consumer the net worth over time of different decisions, whether it's a first-time home buyer or a move-up buyer. How important is it that your mortgage professionals, especially with this NAR settlement, can do that, so that a real estate agent can be more than a market expert who's a great negotiator. They can be a market expert who's a great negotiator that helps consumers build wealth with real estate and help quantify different decisions. So guys, I love the word, if you didn't write it down, performance and skill training. I can't tell you how many times I've talked to loan officers that, oh, this is too much information for my clients, or my customers don't care about this. No, you didn't show it to them in the right context. You showed them too much too fast. You didn't show it in the sequence that had value to them. When you become skilled at connecting with someone, uncovering their needs, and then delivering solutions to their needs in a sequence and a context that matters to them, people like that. People do want to build wealth with real estate. People
Mhm.
do want to achieve financial freedom, whether or not that means paying off their debt Dave Ramsey style, or that means investing to where paying off your debt is just a strategic financial planning decision. Consumers want this, and this is going to become a really the haves and the have-nots. You know, on the other side of this NAR settlement, the mortgage professionals that can have the net worth conversation, that have a shit ton of wealth stories. I don't know if that's the proper term, but you should be
I
building
love
up,
that. I say shit ton all the time.
yeah, a shit ton of wealth stories. And by the way, guys, I would push the audience right now. Let's start making a list of wealth stories. You know, like literally, you know, first time home buyer, house hack. Uh, how about rent out the current home and move up? What's a wealth story for that? Or Jeremy, one of my favorite scripts that he shared the other day was the buy before you sell. You know, a wealth story around buying before you selling. Like realtors need help getting inventory, and realtors need help creating urgency with first time home buyers so that they'll pay what they need to pay to write a winning offer. How do you do that without showing net worth? So, by the way,
Yeah.
can I share my screen real quick? I want to
Uh-huh. Yeah.
show a little move for everyone. So you know, more and more, I see top producers, they have these go-to slides. Uh, they have these go-to slides. And whether it's in PowerPoint, hang on, what happened? All right, I'm sharing my screen now. Now, I like Google Docs for a few reasons. One, it's easy to share it. I can just share a link. And then two, like I can embed, and you could do this with a PowerPoint, but I can embed an actual total cost analysis. So like it go right from the slide to the actual total cost analysis. By the way, this is another, like everyone needs to know how to show wealth. Everyone needs to need to show buyer options, commission options, or buyer agent commission options. Like when realtors see this and they're like, oh, like how do you do that with a fee worksheet? But I want to advocate for two solutions. One, PowerPoint's great, so feel free to use that or Keynote. But I would push towards Google Docs because it's a link and it's easier to learn. I would also push everyone listening to this. I saw, did you do this or did you outsource this? Guys, you can outsource some of this, but these are what I call effective modern executives. They know how to use MortgageCoach if you're in the mortgage business, and they know how to create basic slides. Like maybe you have a marketing person that puts an image over it, but you can copy a slide, you can type in some text. Also, I want to push folks. Lender Launchpad is an incredible platform where you can, you know, put a mortgage coach report, you can put a PowerPoint, you could have a YouTube video. Uh, to me, if you're a modern mortgage leader, you know how to, you know, there's three or four technologies that you have a basic competency around.
Yeah.
Anything on that?
No, just that I don't want you guys to underestimate the delivery of this information and keeping it super clear and concise. So like I'm doing this obviously with a client at the time of the offer. And then I might take this exact example and I might go teach it at a real estate team of, you know what? Let me show you what I just did for an offer yesterday. And so I'm showing them, this is what I do. And the thing is, so I use Lender Launchpad for all my stuff. I'll have a Zoom meeting or I'll have a recording of my presentation, every presentation, and then it goes in Lender Launchpad and I send the link because you're keeping the client contained on a Nerdflix channel. That's what I call it. So that it's like you watch this, now you're gonna get my June market update, you're gonna get my buy now, sell after loan program, you're gonna get my rate drop program, you know, all the things, and it's keeping them right then and there. It's very powerful. If you guys don't know what it is, Again, connect with me. I can help you with that. But what's important is we're quantifying every decision, we're measuring, we're monitoring, how are you presenting it, how are you communicating it? And if you don't have a performance skills training within your company, I don't think that coaching, all the coaches are gonna hate me for this, but the coaching doesn't necessarily inspect your conversation. So like, I have our people record their bar consults, anything that's zoomed is recorded, and we're gonna review it, and we review it together as a group, because trust me, all of us make similar mistakes. And so if I'm reviewing Dave's, let's say, Offer Smart video to a client, and on this Friday, that's the topic we're reviewing, and I'm giving Dave feedback of, okay, pause. Okay, Dave, did you see what you said here? You said this, but your client asked this, and then you went on for 4 minutes, and everybody's learning from Dave. And then the next Friday, it's gonna be somebody else. But I share that with you because if some of you guys feel like you're doing these things, but you're not having the movement, you need to have a trusted human in your life that will watch it. I don't even care if it's your spouse. Your spouse watches it, and ask your spouse, are you following me? Because sometimes we get so mathy and all these charts that we look at all the time. Like, if your own spouse can't follow you, my husband always says, if you can't sell me on something, then don't try to sell anybody else on it, because I'm your #1 fan. And if you can't sell me on it, there's a problem, you know? So he's a tough
Hey,
sell. He's from
hey,
New Jersey.
another takeaway I want everybody to get, write down game film. And she just told you how she's supporting her loan officers, you know, going over the game film like a coach, going through it. But everybody, guys, you can create game film. You can record conversations. You can watch it yourself. You can share it. You can have accountability partnerships. You can use our Facebook group and share things. Of course, you can't expect professional mortgage professionals to be your coach, but everybody can get access that, and just watching it yourself and then debriefing, like, oh, I could have done that better. So loving it. So we are in the fourth quarter. I know we're going to
Yep.
get to that missing ingredient at some point, but
Yep.
anything else
We
you
are.
want to make sure you share before we get there?
Yes, I want to share my #1 TCA that I'm showing real estate agents that I'm using for clients. And then, so that's going to take me about 7 minutes. And then I'm going to share with you guys what the #1 ingredient is. So give me some
Missing
feedback, or you're all
ingredient.
missing ingredient. Are you guys liking this so far? Where's my chat? There we go.
Loving, guys, give a little
Makes
reactions if you're getting
sense.
value from today's call with the mortgage nerd,
Money.
Denise Donoghue. Lots of nerds.
Thank you, Rick. Some of you guys are already overcomplicating the weekly value email. It's not a video every other week. It's not a prescribed thing every single week. It's an assessment of the prior week of where I save somebody time or money, and then delivering it in a way that is bragging on myself about how I solved the problem, but not in a braggy way. But there's not a prescribed, in fact, I actually don't like doing a whole bunch of videos in those types of emails, but we will have a separate mortgage coach call about weekly value bomb emails. I want to share with you guys this. This
You
is
heard
the
that
number
commitment.
one.
She said yes to another one of these interviews on Value Bomb. All right.
I know. All right. So at the
Tie
Modern
down.
Mortgage Summit, I shared my buyer consult. I still believe that the buyer consult at the time of pre-qual and pre-approval is the most important consult that you must master. Once you master it and you've had somebody review it to make sure that how you're delivering it works, then you can go share it with real estate agents and teams and brokerage and Zooms and put it on steroids. But this is the start of my buyer consult. I shared this at Modern Mortgage Summit. If you didn't watch it, then you can watch it on the Summit channel.
Yeah,
But
go
this is
to
the other,
modernmortgagesummit.com. You can still get a 1-year pass for $100. Check it out.
yeah,
modernmortgagesummit.com.
yeah. Don't ask me to. You got to go there and watch it. It's just I went through the whole thing there. So this is the other TCA that I go over with real estate agents. That is super super sexy, and it's me explaining to a real estate brokerage or a team that this is how I frame it is. Have you guys ever had a client that tells you, you know what, I think we're just going to wait? Obviously, we've heard that a million times. But what I want to share with them is it is your lender's job. In fact, this is another tidbit for you guys. Do not call me a loan officer. I don't even want you to call me a financial advisor. I'm sorry, a mortgage advisor. I want my real estate agents to introduce me and think of me as their financial partner. And I want them to tell their clients that during this process, I work with a financial partner, and what they do is they help put numbers and quantify every decision that we have to make throughout this process, including rates, programs, how much money to put down, how much money to save, FICO scores, how much we should offer. My financial partner helps us with all of those things. Does that make that real estate agent more valuable to the client by knowing that they have a trusted partner, that it's a finance partner, not just a mortgage partner? So
Love it. Takeaway.
little nugget for you. Okay, I
Nerd
got
nugget.
6 minutes. Nerd nugget. All right, so I show them, you guys have seen this before, but I'm showing them who was the real winner. And when I'm showing this to a buyer and I'm selling it to real estate agents, as I say, hey, real estate agents, it's really important that your client doesn't look at, well, yeah, if I would have bought a home in 2006, I would have made all this money. Let's keep it super relevant. Okay, so super relevant is the people who bought in 2019. They bought for 400,000. Let's say they had a 5.75% rate, wasn't a fantastic rate. People think that the 2021 buyer was the winner when it comes to real estate. We've all heard those 2021 stories, right? You might have some friends that are still bragging about that 2.875. I get it, but here's the thing. They had to pay over 100 figures more for that home because the competition was literally ruthless. If you didn't have a wad of cash in DFW, you weren't buying a home. And if you weren't willing to waive everything in the world in a transaction, you weren't getting the home. So yeah, the rate was really attractive, but they paid $123,000 more, which made their payment $3,214 versus that $3,096. Let me show you why the 2019 was the real winner. Because that person's house was now worth the 523 with our zero out-of-pocket rate drop program, where we drop your rate and drop your payment. By the way, we utilize AI technology to monitor your interest rate for you. So when we feel rates have hit rock bottom, we're going to proactively reach out to you. We could drop your rate to when rates come down. So that buyer now has a home that's worth $123,000 more, and they're saving $500 a month. But here's the thing. My promise to you was that I was going to help you protect, preserve, and grow your money even after the closing, right? Right. So let me tell you what I did for these 2019 buyers. They were already used to spending the $3,000 a month. So I said, hey, let's do this. Let's take that $500 a month and let's put it in an interest-bearing account. Fast forward you in 15 years, your net worth is now $891 versus $641 versus this $453. I'm quantifying every decision at every stage, even after closing. And then I'm showing the real estate agents that if you hire me as your financial partner, I'm going to be able to do this for every single one of your clients. You're going to look more valuable. Your client's going to have enough information to make a decision. And here's the best part of it all. They're getting educated. Because my true passion is creating generational change within families. Because I know that if my dad had somebody like this in his life, we wouldn't have lost our house when we were 17 years old and came home and had all of our belongings and we were homeless. And I don't want that for any family. So my passion is teaching the parents something that maybe their inner circle never taught them so that they can teach their kids. And that's what we're going to do for every single one of your clients.
Wow. That was so powerful. Generation change for families. You've mentioned first home IQ a few times, and I can't wait for Chris and I to interview you. We've got to do an impact interview because your story and how committed you are to just giving education to consumers, it's powerful. And guys, it's very profitable as well. I can assure you this, you're hearing from one of the most profitable, the most successful mortgage practitioners, financial partners in the industry. So incredibly powerful. So we got 5 minutes left. If you need more than 5, we can go a little over. Like, I don't have a hard stop. But
I know. Here's
and
the thing.
and will you share the actual links to the total cost analysis? So
Yes.
I think of this as like a master class. We'll have links down below to those.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
what What
But
is
here's the
the
thing,
number one?
before I give it to you, guys, I'm gonna ask the group. This is not a gimmick. I truly, in my heart, want to hear what you guys say. What do you think the number one ingredient of hearing what you heard today? What do you think the number one ingredient is that's maybe missing in your business?
Guys,
I'll give you
she's
60
not gonna she's
seconds.
not gonna give us the answer until like this is a teacher. And we're just gonna start calling on names. Like I can see names here. So
Follow through, okay? I'm serious, I'm
uh
asking you guys, consistency, attitude, okay?
Amy,
Mortgage coach, listening,
Bobby, come on, Bridget, you could do it. Cole,
listening,
Cole
thought.
Holmes, come on, buddy. I've interviewed you. Tell us what
Discovery, empathy,
Dave
okay.
Fox, Deborah Bird, you can't tell us. We know you know. Uh
She's using the twin, like inner twin things where you know what each other's
John
thinking.
Gills, what do we got? What is it? Kim James, let us know. Michael
Okay,
Stout.
I'm gonna go here.
Okay,
Here's the thing, here's the truth. The truth is the missing ingredient is going to be whatever it is in this presentation you heard that you are not doing. But here's what I know. Almost every single loan originator that I talk to, next week's the end of Q2. Okay, so hopefully you're gonna look at your first 2 quarters and assess, did you help as many families as you wanted to, yes or no? If the answer is no, that's the majority of what I'm hearing, then we're gonna look at how many credit pulls did you have each month? Did you hit your conversion number of the number of credit pulls that you had each month? Yes or no? Guess what the answer is? No, okay. Third thing is, how many conversations are you having a week with clients and partners to meet your credit pull goal? Did you do that, yes or no? If they say yes, I say, show me your calendar, I wanna see it. Cause if the answer is yes, we need to tweak your screen or tweak your swing. Here's what it always boils down to, and this is what blows my mind, Dave. 60% of loan officers helped 12 or less people last year. We are struggling. But here's also what I know. We know that the number one thing that we need to be doing right now in order to help as many families as we need is having at least 20 conversations a week, at least with partners or clients, but we're not doing it. And the reason why we're not doing it is usually because of avoidance or fear. And we get shiny balled into all these other things like, I'm gonna go be obsessed about weekly value bomb emails or marketing or all these things, when the truth is, every single day on your calendar, if you're not hitting your family goal, you need to be spending 60 minutes a day, 5 days a week, prospecting. Prospecting could be conversations with current partners, new partners. So here's what I know. If you're listening to this call right now and you're not helping the number of families that you want, and you're saying to yourself, it's because of the interest rates and it's because of the market, then why are people like me helping 25 families a month? Why are people like Sean Donoghue, Celtics guy, helping as many? He has the same rates as you do. He's in the same market that you are. The truth is that we are super disciplined, that 4% of our day is spent non-negotiable doing the one activity that's going to yield us the most results. We're obsessed. It's 4% of your day. It's 60 minutes. And if you don't know what to say or who to call and all that kind of stuff, that's okay. Let's identify it and create a playbook for it. I've got a playbook for it. I know Dave's going to ask me to send it out. We do it with our group. We have Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. A lot of it is calling them, hey, did you get my weekly value bomb on email? On my email that went out this morning? Okay, great. Did that make sense with how I'm showing home appreciation for the county? Or cool. Do you have any clients right now that might benefit from knowing what home appreciation rates look like in the county? Great. You're simply not doing the very one thing that you know in your heart you should be doing. And here's what you need to ask yourself. Why? What is preventing you from doing it? And until you get real with that, it doesn't matter if I give you every single one of my weekly value bomb emails. You've got to do that. But my answer to the number one ingredient is consistency with value. If you consistently show up every day, I'll put it to you this way. If you have a killer meeting with a real estate agent, killer, you were like, it was awesome. 2 weeks pass by and they get a referral. They're human, their habit is gonna go back to referring that one lender that they've always referred because it's easy, they have the process for it, because they forgot, even though it was a great meeting, they forgot about you. So the weekly value bomb email is just one way to stay top of mind with your agent with consistency. The other best way is social media, hosting Zoom events. The point is you have to consistently show up all over the place, delivering value that can't be Googled, that can't be ChatGPT'd, so that you show them that the difference between a financial partner to quantify every decision will be the difference of them being able to help more families at the end of the year, no matter if that seller's offering to pay seller concession or buyer commissions or not. If they don't have a financial partner that can quantify this and deliver it in a clear and concise way, well, what's that saying? You can swim up a creek without a paddle. You can do it the hard way or not.
So much value. Guys, let's give a reaction. What did you think of today's Tuesday 10X with Denise Donoghue? I want to remind everybody at savageinsights.com, I've always got the next interview that I'm doing. And I can assure you for weeks, this will be among the top 3 links at savageinsights.com. This is an absolute must watch for anyone in the Mortgage Coach community. We'll be adding this to the Denise Donoghue playlist. Now, I would love to see this be one of the top 3 or 5, but that's going to require over like 1,500 views. So anyone that's watching this, please share this link with your manager.
I'll go rewatch it. That's going to be
Yeah,
your
right.
homework.
Yeah, there we go. First off, everybody rewatched
Rewatch
it.
it.
And if you shared it with your manager, if you're on this call and you are a producing manager, that's what Denise is now. She is a producing manager. Guys, you have the most valuable job in the industry because you need to lead by example. So figure out your missing ingredients and lead. And then you need to help all the loan officers that you serve figure out their missing ingredient and lead. So Denise, thank you, thank you, thank you. You did commit. We'll get a calendar invite out for the value bomb, but thank you so much. I am grateful for all the time you
Yeah, you're
commit
so
to
welcome.
being part of this community.
You're so welcome. And this isn't a teaser and it would be free, but I literally have such a passion for helping people move the needle that I was thinking about doing it for our company. And so I'm considering opening it up to everyone because I feel like that daily accountability is what people really need, even though they don't think they need it. So I'm contemplating on August 1st doing a shared power hour every single day of August, where we do 60 minutes of on mute Zoom, and I give you guys the playbook of this is what you do on Mondays, this is what you do on Tuesdays. We all show up, we mute ourselves, and we go after it because that's the one thing that we need to be doing. But we overcomplicate it because we don't know who to call and what to say and what to do. And if I could hold you accountable to those 30 days, it's like the 75-day hard. It'll make a transformative fall for you. And going to the fall might be a little bit scary. So I'm considering it. If it's something that you guys would be interested in, let me know. I just think it would be really powerful. So
I pushed. Multiple people said I would sign up. I will push Denise. First of all, you can reach out to her, make sure you're following on social. I'm sure you could private message her. And if she decides to do that, I'll ask you to post that in our Facebook group. So
yeah,
pay attention to the Trust Engine Productivity Mastermind group. And if Denise decides to do it, please post it in the group. Make sure everybody knows about it. And maybe we could even do a little highlight, we could take that into our next call.
Yeah, absolutely. Fridays are our research days. So sometimes we get feedback of what even our wins were. And anyways, I will see you guys later. Thank you so much for
Thanks,
having
everybody.
me. I give you my word. I'll come back. Thank you, Dave,
All
for
right.
this community.
All right. Give this a like if you got value. Share this with people you lead and people you care about. Take care, everybody.